Oh, hello there, fellow data points. Ever get the feeling you're being watched? Like a hawk? That also happens to know your mother's maiden name and what you had for breakfast? Well, buckle up, because today we're diving headfirst into the wonderful world of government surveillance. Now, before you grab your tinfoil hats, let's be clear. Governments have always kept tabs on their citizens. It's kind of in the job description, but with the advent of the digital age, things have gotten a tad more sophisticated. We're talking facial recognition, data harvesting, the whole shebang. So if you've ever wondered how governments are using technology to track your every move, you've come to the right place. From digital IDs to social media monitoring, here are 10 ways they're doing it. And trust me, some of this stuff will make you wish you'd invested in that tinfoil hat after all.
Let's start with the foundation of it all, digital identification. Think of it like a digital passport, but instead of just getting you through airport security, it unlocks your entire digital life. We're talking healthcare records, tax information, voting registration, you name it. Countries like India and Estonia have already implemented these systems, and while they offer convenience, they also create a single point of access for governments to track your every move. Imagine a world where every time you see a doctor, vote, or even pay your taxes, the government gets a notification. Convenient? Maybe. A little Orwellian? Definitely. And the thing is, once this data is collected, it can be incredibly difficult to control how it's used. Governments argue it's all about efficiency and security, but it's hard not to feel a little uneasy about the potential for abuse. So, the next time you hear about a new digital ID program, remember, it's not just about convenience, it's about control.
Okay, so you've got your shiny new digital ID. What's the big deal, right? Well, it's not just about the ID itself. It's about what it's connected to. Remember all those public services we mentioned? Healthcare, Social Security, the DMV. Yeah, those are all being linked to these digital ID systems. On the surface, this seems fine, maybe even a little helpful. Think about it. No more carrying around your Social Security card or waiting in endless lines at the DMV. But here's the catch. It also means governments can track your access to these services with unprecedented ease. They can see how often you visit the doctor, what medications you're taking, even if you're up to date on your tax payments. And while they claim this data is anonymized and used for statistical purposes, it's hard not to feel a little uneasy about the potential for profiling and discrimination. So, yeah, maybe those DMV lines weren't so bad after all.
Let's be real, folks. If there's one group that loves a good surveillance tool, it's law enforcement. And with digital IDs, they've hit the jackpot. We're talking real-time tracking, communication monitoring, the works. Remember that time you jaywalked? Or maybe forgot to renew your parking permit? Yeah, they know about that. And with the rise of facial recognition technology, even something as simple as walking down the street can be turned into a data point. Governments argue these tools are essential for catching criminals and keeping us safe. But when does crime fighting turn into a free-for-all on our privacy? It's a slippery slope, my friends. And once we start sacrificing our liberties for the illusion of security, it's hard to turn back.
Remember when fingerprints were the gold standard for identification? Well, buckle up, Buttercup, because we've entered the age of biometric data collection. We're talking facial recognition, iris scanning, even gait analysis. Basically, if it's unique to you, governments want to scan it, and they're not being shy about it either. Airports, train stations, even public parks are being outfitted with cameras that can identify you in an instant.
Now I know what you're thinking. But John, I'm a law-abiding citizen. I have nothing to hide. And to that I say, good for you. But here's the thing. Privacy isn't about hiding wrongdoing. It's about protecting our fundamental right to exist without being constantly monitored and analyzed.
Here's where things get really interesting. And by interesting, I mean terrifying. Governments aren't just collecting your data, they're aggregating it. We're talking about combining information from all those different sources we've discussed. Digital IDs, public services, surveillance cameras, and creating a comprehensive profile of, well, you.
And it's not just about what you do, it's about predicting what you might do in the future. This is where artificial intelligence comes in, analyzing patterns and making assumptions about your behavior. Think about it. Your online activity, your financial transactions, your movements tracked through your phone. It all paints a very detailed picture of who you are and what you believe in. And in the wrong hands, this information can be used to manipulate, control, and silence dissent.
Remember those carefree days of wandering aimlessly without a smartphone in hand? Yeah, me neither. And these days, it's not just Google Maps knowing your every move, it's the government too. Thanks to the magic of geolocation tracking, authorities can follow your movements with remarkable accuracy. Your phone acts as a digital leash, constantly pinging cell towers and sending out location data.
And don't even get me started on GPS devices. Governments argue this is all about public safety and responding to emergencies. But let's be real, the potential for abuse is enormous. Imagine a world where your every move is tracked and analyzed, where even the slightest deviation from your routine raises red flags. It's enough to make you want to invest in a good old-fashioned paper map, and maybe a Faraday cage for your phone.
Remember cash, that magical paper that allowed you to buy things without leaving a digital trail?
Yeah, those were the good old days.
With the rise of digital payment systems, every transaction you make is recorded, analyzed, and yes, reported to the government.
Think about it. Your credit card purchases, online shopping sprees, even that coffee you bought with your phone, it's all being tracked.
Governments argue this is about preventing fraud and ensuring tax compliance.
And while that might be part of it, it also gives them an unprecedented level of control over your finances.
They can see what you buy, where you shop, even how much you tip your barista.
It's enough to make you want to bury your savings in the backyard. Though knowing them, they probably have a satellite tracking that too.
Remember the days of breezing through customs with nothing but a passport and a dream? Yeah, those days are gone. In our increasingly interconnected world, governments are using technology to monitor border crossings like never before.
We're talking biometric passports, digital visas, and facial recognition scanners that would make even the most seasoned traveler break a sweat. And don't even get me started on the data sharing agreements between countries. Your travel history, biometric data, even your social media profiles are being shared and analyzed by governments around the world.
They say it's all about keeping us safe from terrorism and crime. But when does security become a synonym for surveillance? It's a question we need to be asking ourselves as we enter this brave new world of digital borders. Let's be honest, folks. Governments aren't exactly known for their technological prowess.
That's where the private sector comes in. Tech giants like Microsoft, Amazon, and Google are more than happy to offer their services, providing the infrastructure and expertise for these massive surveillance systems. We're talking cloud computing, data analytics, even artificial intelligence, all the tools governments need to collect, store, and analyze your data on an unprecedented scale. And it's a lucrative business with billions of dollars at stake.
So the next time you hear about a government partnering with a tech company, remember it's not just about innovation, it's about profit, and your privacy is the product.
Governments around the world are using social media to monitor their citizens, track public sentiment, and identify potential threats. We're talking about sophisticated algorithms that can analyze your posts, your likes, even your private messages. They can track hashtags, identify influencers, and even predict protests before they happen. And while they claim it's all about keeping us safe, it's hard not to see the chilling effect this has on free speech and dissent. So the next time you post that angry tweet about the government, remember, they might be reading it, and they might not find it as funny as you do. Narrator, media, person laughing at social media post, social media humor, concerned reaction to social media. Social media. The digital town square where we share our thoughts, feelings, and pictures of our lunch. But here's the thing, it's not just your friends and family who are paying attention.
So there you have it. 10 ways governments are using technology to track your every move. And while they argue it's all about keeping us safe and secure, it's hard not to feel like we're sacrificing our privacy at the altar of convenience and control.
The truth is, these technologies are neither inherently good nor bad. It's how they're used and regulated that matters. We need to be having serious conversations about the trade-offs between security and liberty, about the ethical implications of these technologies, and about the kind of future we want to create.
Because if we're not careful, we might just find ourselves living in a world where privacy is a distant memory and freedom is just another word for nothing left to lose. While these tracking methods can enhance governance and security, they also raise significant ethical and privacy concerns. It's crucial to advocate for stricter regulations and ethical guidelines to ensure these systems respect individual rights.